You ever had one of those nights where the universe just decides, you know what? Screw you in particular. Yeah, that was tonight for Liz Cartwright. The air was thick with that damp city night smell, exhaust fumes, old asphalt, and that faint metallic scent that made you wonder if something illegal had just gone down nearby. The streetlights flickered like they were teasing her, barely illuminating the empty sidewalk as she walked home. Liz wasn't the type to scare easily, but tonight, something felt off. A gut feeling. That same instinct that had kept her alive in courtrooms, board meetings, and places where the wrong word could cost you everything. She could hear footsteps behind her, slow and deliberate. Not rushing, not hesitating, just there. She didn't speed up, didn't turn her head, just kept walking, ears tuned in like a damn radar. And then, red and blue lights exploded across the pavement. Liz stopped cold. The police cruiser was parked at an angle, like some action movie setup. Two white cops stepped out, and just by the way they moved, she knew. This was about to be some bullshit. The taller one, built like he spent more time lifting donuts than weights, tilted his head and smirked. Well, what do we have here? He said, like he'd been waiting all night to play bad cop. The other one, a wiry guy with a buzz cut and an attitude problem, cracked his knuckles. Kinda late for a lady like you to be out walking alone, huh? Liz didn't even flinch. She'd been through this before. Officers, she said smoothly. Is there a problem? The buzz-cut cop grinned, like she'd just handed him a winning lottery ticket. Funny you should ask. You match the description of a suspect we're looking for. Liz blinked. Here we go. Description, huh? Let me guess. Black? Female? Breathing? The taller cop chuckled. Oh, she's got jokes. No joke, Liz said, her voice cool. That's just the usual, right? So what's this suspect supposed to have done? Buzzcut leaned in like he was about to drop a bombshell. Shoplifting. Liz almost laughed. Shoplifting? Are you serious? Tall cop shrugged. Serious enough for us to check. Check, right. Meaning they had nothing. Meaning this was just another round of harass the black woman for existing, because the quota for the night hadn't been filled yet. Liz took a deep breath. She had two options. Stand her ground, and let these two clowns play their little power trip. Try to talk her way out, which, statistically speaking, had the same success rate as yelling at a brick wall. Yeah, she wasn't in the mood for option two. Look, fellas, I know how this works, she said, crossing her arms. You don't have shit. You saw a black woman walking at night, and that was good enough for you. Buzzcut's smirk twitched. Watch your tone. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I supposed to be polite while you two pull me over for existing? Tall cop sighed like she was the problem here. Let's make this easy. Just show us some ID. We check it, and you can be on your way. Liz tilted her head. Oh, these dumbasses really didn't know who they were messing with. That's cute, she said. But how about this? You tell me exactly what I'm being accused of and show me some probable cause, and maybe, just maybe, I'll consider playing along. Buzzcut's patience snapped. All right, enough. He reached for his cuffs. Turn around. Liz exhaled slowly. Here we go. You do realize you're making a huge mistake. Tall cop yanked her arm behind her back. I guess we'll find out. And just like that, she felt the cold bite of steel around her wrists. Of course, they didn't read her rights. Of course, they didn't explain a damn thing. They just shoved her into the back of the cruiser, slammed the door, and drove off. Buzzcut caught her eyes in the rearview mirror, smirking like he'd just won something. Oh, buddy, Liz thought, you have no fucking idea. You ever wake up in a place so damn uncomfortable that your whole body reminds you, yeah, you screwed up last night? Liz Cartwright did. Only she hadn't screwed up. The cops had. Her first conscious thought was cold. Concrete bench, steel bars, the whole congratulations you're in jail aesthetic. The fluorescent lights above flickered like they were considering quitting. The whole place smelled like regret, old coffee, and the kind of sweat that belonged to people who had been stuck in holding cells way too long. She wasn't alone. A few other women were in the cell, one snoring, another absent-mindedly picking at her nails, and one pacing like she was plotting a jailbreak. Liz sat up, rolling her shoulders. All right, let's see how deep this rabbit hole goes. A heavy metal door buzzed open, and in walked Buzzcut and Donut Belly, her favorite dumbass cops from last night. Buzzcut jingled the keys in his hand like he was some kind of cowboy in an old western. Rise and shine, sweetheart. Time to go. Liz gave him a look. Oh, fantastic. Is there a red carpet, or should I just roll out the sarcasm? Donut Belly smirked. You'll love this next part. They grabbed her by the arm. Not rough, but firm enough to make a point, and led her out through the halls of the precinct, past rows of desks where officers pretended to be busy, past the stale smell of printer paper and cheap cologne, straight to the police van waiting to take her to court. The grand entrance. Now let's talk about how not to enter a courtroom. 1. In handcuffs. 2. Escorted by 2 smirking cops. 3. Looking like you just woke up on a jail floor, because, well, she had. Liz walked in, her hands bound, her expression cool as hell, and the moment she stepped inside, every single head turned. The courtroom was packed. Lawyers, reporters, a jury that looked like they were already over it, and a judge sitting at the front rubbing his temples like he regretted every life choice that brought him here. But what really caught her eye? The 2 cops laughing with the prosecutor like this was some inside joke. Oh, these idiots thought they had already won. Buzzcut leaned toward Donut Belly and muttered just loud enough for her to hear. "This is going to be easy." Liz smiled. Not a nervous smile, not an "oh no, I'm in trouble" smile. A smile that said, "You have no idea what's coming. The trial begins." The judge cleared his throat, looking at her over his glasses. Case number 4283. Defendant, Elizabeth Cartwright. Charges: resisting arrest and theft. Liz blinked. Resisting arrest? That was new. The prosecutor, a guy with a tie so tight it looked like it was choking him, stood up. "Your Honor, the officers apprehended the defendant last night while responding to a theft call. She matched the description." Liz cut him off. "Did I?" The judge shot her a look. "Miss Cartwright, you'll get your turn to speak." She held up her cuffed hands. "Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I just figured since I was already being treated like a criminal, we might as well skip the part where I pretend I have rights." A low murmur rippled through the audience. Prosecutor Guy cleared his throat. "As I was saying, she fit the description and was found in the area shortly after the crime," Liz scoffed. "And what exactly was the description? Black woman? Walking?" Buzzcut smirked from his seat like he was watching a game he knew he'd already won. Liz turned her gaze to the judge. "Your Honor, before we continue, I'd like to request that my handcuffs be removed. I assume this is still a court of law, not an episode of Cops Gone Wild?" A few chuckles rippled through the audience. Even the judge looked mildly amused before he sighed and motioned for the bailiff. The second those cuffs hit the floor, Liz stretched her arms, rolled her shoulders, and straightened her posture. She wasn't a suspect anymore. She was in control now. The shift in power. Liz scanned the room. The judge, the prosecutor, the cops, the audience, they all thought this was just another case. Liz exhaled, then smiled. Oh, this was going to be fun. You ever see a moment so painfully awkward for someone else that you almost feel bad for them? Almost. That was exactly what was happening in that courtroom. Liz Cartwright stood there, rubbing her wrists, now free of the cuffs, while the entire room tried to make sense of what was going on. The cops were still smirking. The prosecutor looked like he was on autopilot, and the judge was probably counting the minutes until his lunch break. Liz, though, she was just getting started. The prosecutor cleared his throat, tightening that ridiculous tie. "Your Honor, let's move forward. The officers arrested Miss Cartwright under reasonable suspicion as she matched the description given by the store's security footage." Liz raised an eyebrow. "Oh, so you actually have footage?" The guy blinked, clearly not expecting that. "Well, no, but the officers thought..." Right. So let me get this straight." Liz turned to face the courtroom, making sure her voice carried. "I was arrested because I matched a description, but there's no actual footage, no solid evidence, and no real reason to believe I did anything wrong except for the fact that 2 officers decided I looked suspicious?" Buzzcut crossed his arms, still grinning. "You were in the area of the crime." Liz let out a short laugh. "Oh, my bad. Guess I should have teleported home instead of walking like a regular person." A couple of jurors exchanged looks. People in the audience were whispering. Oh yeah, she could feel it. The shift. The exact moment people started thinking, "Wait a damn minute, something's off here." The judge sighed. "Miss Cartwright, do you have any witnesses or representation?" Liz's lips curved up. Oh, he just walked right into it. She reached into her blazer pocket, pulled out her ID, and held it up for the courtroom to see. Silence. Buzzcut's smirk twitched. Donut Belly leaned forward like he wasn't sure his eyes were working correctly. The prosecutor actually took a step back. The judge adjusted his glasses, reading the name on the card. Elizabeth Cartwright, Director of Operations. Superior Court of Justice. The same damn courthouse they were standing in right now. The courtroom exploded. People gasped. Reporters scribbled down notes, and the murmurs turned into full-blown conversations. The judge tapped his gavel a few times, trying to restore order, but the damage was done. Liz smiled sweetly. "I work here, Your Honor. In fact, I run most of the operational decisions in this very court. So imagine my surprise when I found myself on trial for, let's see, existing while black? Buzzcut's smirk was officially gone. Donut Belly looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. The prosecutor swallowed hard. I wasn't aware. Liz turned to him, tilting her head. No kidding? That's funny because all it would have taken was one phone call, one name check, one moment of basic police work, and this never would have happened. But hey, why do actual work when you can just slap cuffs on the nearest black woman and call it a night, right? The judge exhaled slowly. Miss Cartwright, are you saying... What I'm saying, Your Honor, is that these officers illegally detained a high-ranking court official without cause, failed to verify her identity, and then had the audacity to laugh about it in open court. She looked straight at Buzzcut. That about sum it up? Buzzcut's jaw clenched. Donut Belly opened his mouth, closed it, then decided against speaking entirely. The courtroom was so quiet now you could hear a damn pin drop. Liz turned back to the judge. So, Your Honor, what's the procedure when officers of the law violate due process and make a complete fool of themselves in court? Yeah, this was her courtroom now. You ever see someone's soul leave their body in real time? Because that's exactly what happened to Buzzcut and Donut Belly the second the courtroom realized they had just arrested the director of operations for the very court they were standing in. The silence was so thick you could hear a damn fly having an identity crisis. Liz Cartwright stood there, watching it all unfold like a spectator at a bad comedy show. The prosecutor looked like he wanted to retire on the spot. The judge was rubbing his temples so hard it was a miracle he still had skin. The jurors, they were eating this up. And the cops? Oh, the cops were struggling. Buzzcut had officially lost his smirk, his face shifting through all 5 stages of grief in under 30 seconds. Donut Belly looked like he was praying for divine intervention. Spoiler, it wasn't coming. The judge exhaled sharply, then finally broke the silence. Miss Cartwright, I assume you will be pursuing legal action regarding this situation? Liz tilted her head like she was actually considering it. I mean, I could. I probably should. But you know what I'd rather do first? The judge raised an eyebrow. What's that? She turned slowly toward the officers, stepping right up to their table. She placed her hands on the surface and leaned in just enough to watch them squirm. I'd like to hear them explain themselves. Buzzcut blinked. Explain? Liz smiled. Oh yeah. You two were so confident when you dragged me in here, so let's hear it. I want to know, step by step, what was going through those heads of yours when you decided to pull me off the street, shove me in the back of your car, and parade me around this courthouse like some kind of trophy. Neither of them spoke. Liz folded her arms. Come on, fellas. Don't get shy now. Donut Belly cleared his throat. It was a misunderstanding. Liz's eyebrows shot up. A misunderstanding? You illegally detained me, ignored my rights, and walked into this courtroom laughing about it like it was your weekly entertainment. That's one hell of a misunderstanding. Buzzcut finally sat up straighter. Look, lady, we were just doing our jobs. Liz let out a sharp laugh. Oh, that's cute. That's real cute. Tell me, does doing your job usually involve ignoring IDs, skipping due process, and treating innocent people like criminals? Or is that just a special skill set you break out for people who look like me? The courtroom was dead silent. The judge sighed, rubbing his forehead. Officers, given the circumstances, I assume you both understand that this matter will need to be reviewed internally. Liz smirked. Oh, I don't think reviewed is the right word, Your Honor. I think completely dismantled and publicly humiliated sounds more accurate. Buzzcut's mouth tightened. This is ridiculous, Liz grinned. No, ridiculous is 2 grown men abusing their power because they assume no one will hold them accountable. This is justice, sweetheart. Donut Belly slumped back in his chair like a man who had just realized his pension might not be as guaranteed as he thought. The judge tapped his gavel. This court will be filing a formal complaint against both officers, and an internal investigation will begin immediately. This case is dismissed. Liz took a deep breath as the gavel slammed down. And just like that, it was over. The final word. As Liz gathered her things, she caught Buzzcut watching her with something between frustration and disbelief. He still didn't get it. She leaned in, voice low and sharp. Next time you want to throw your weight around, make sure the person you're messing with isn't the one signing off on your paycheck. Then she turned on her heel, walking out of the courtroom with her head held high. Behind her, the 2 officers sat there, completely wrecked, realizing they had just made the worst mistake of their entire damn careers.